Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I am so glad that you're all here. Welcome to a new video and a new tarot talks video. If you have no idea what tarot talks is, this is where we explore the kind of more abstract, unanswered questions that we might have about life and things in general that we don't really get to look at in our peer card readings. And you know, we just look at it from more of a higher perspective, hopefully, and get more of an understanding or gist about things. So today's topic is going to be about timeline shifting, whether it's real, what really is it, how do we do it, you know, like it's something you hear about a lot in the spiritual space, I feel like, and it's something I definitely have come across now and again, have tried to do now and again, and it's never really clear to me exactly what is meant by it or what it is. I feel like at times I've definitely felt a sense of like what it could be, but I don't know. We're going to clarify it through the cards anyway and see what kind of answers come out for us and what clearer wisdom we get. So I think it's best if we kind of start with, is it even a thing, right? Because if it's not a thing, we're kind of just asking pointless questions. So let's look to the cards to see, is a timeline shifting, or is it possible to shift timelines? Is it possible to shift timelines? Is it possible to shift timelines? Okay. If you read cards at all, I feel like you will also see that this is a very clear yes. I feel like it is. And that's kind of like, intuitively, I felt like we shouldn't, I feel like we were obligated to ask that question for a logical stand, from a logical point of view, but intuitively I felt like the answer was probably going to be yes anyway. And here it is a very clear yes with the High Priestess, the Page of Wands, and the Ace of Pentacles. Is it possible? So we have a card that symbolizes a connection to two different realms, the physical realm and the spiritual realm. So we see here that timeline shifting is about, which we'll go into deeper, but it's about being connected to both sides of the coin. I heard both sides of the coin. Being able to see through the limitations that the material world might impose on us, or we feel like we might feel when we're having our human experience. We feel like, you know, time in general is very linear for humans. We are born and then we die, and that kind of concept of things. We age each year. It's very structured, but that's not really the case in the spiritual. So we see with timeline shifting, it's really about understanding that there is like a duality to things, or there is like a what word am I looking for? I want to say mirror, but it's not. It's like a, what is that word for? A veil. That's what I'm trying to think of. A veil. So like a thin veil over this realm and another realm, or different timelines that are present, but we may not always be able to see it, or all of us can't see it necessarily. I also like that they have she has a pomegranate on here as well. And I'm sure pomegranate is often associated with this High Priestess card, as well as like the birth of like creativity and new knowledge. And then we also have newness represented here with the Ace of Pentacles. So it's a process of bringing something new into our life, birthing something new. Again, with the Page of Wands, which also to me kind of talks about like a revitalization of something new in our lives, something we're excited to do and experiencing. And it's also quite cool that like there's this almost galactic background on this Page of Wands, with also if you look really far back on the High Priestess card, also like this galactic kind of space background as well. And then also just a lot of symbolism with this card, with the purples or the lilacs coming through, and as well as the blue, of like kind of like this feeling of like honesty, truth, psychic power, I wanted to say, but I feel like that was a better word for that. Higher knowledge. Shadow and a light. I want to see if you'll get some more from this book. Okay, so the High Priestess sits on her temple throne, flanked by 2 pillars, one black, one white. The marble floor has a black and white illusionary pattern that seems to move and change depending on your perspective. The priestess' simple white robe is blazoned with a equal-armed solar cross. All of these represent a balance of light and dark, positive and negative, with the High Priestess at the center of understanding. She points to the sacred book of knowledge in her lap, inviting the seeker to approach and learn, but not everything will be revealed. Half her throne is veiled, concealing one of the Sphinx's carvings. The throne itself blocks the portal that leads to the inner temple. The initiate must prove worthiness before being admitted. True wisdom can only be found within. Established religions have their place, but when the High Priestess appears, trust your own guidance. This card indicates a time for silence, as with the Magician card. The intent here is not to focus your mind, but to open your spirit. Seek peace and stillness in which to hear the inner voice and the voice of your deity. When you are ready to know more, the veil will be lifted. I love that they use the word veil there, because that's the word I was kind of struggling to find here. I'm intrigued why this palm leaf is on the floor. I know at the back of the book they have some more symbolisms for the things they've included. A sacred plant that honors gods and heroes. And what was there one for the Sphinx? A hidden wisdom, the enigma. Okay, so I guess there is also this added part of this whole timeline shifting of maybe not really understanding it a lot, or not being there's a lack of clarity around it. Maybe it's just part of the human experience, in that we struggle just from living this life, that we struggle to really grasp the full capacity of what this is. So hopefully we can get that in this reading today. We're looking at the cards today. So we have yes, it does exist. It feels like it exists, but it's interesting that they mentioned it's an initiation. You have to pass something in order to be let in. Okay, so our next question will be, so if timeline shifting exists, what is it? Let's start with what is it before we turn to how we do it, if it's possible. Okay, what is it? I want to go with this deck here. What does it mean to shift timelines? What is timeline shifting? Okay, a whole bunch fell out. Do you know what? I will take them, because we probably were going to take about this many anyway. So what is it? And we see that, yes, again. Okay, so we've got some wand energy here, swords, cups, and pentacles. So we actually have all suits present here. I hear the word revitalization as I look at the Queen of Wands and the Page of Wands, which we already had the Page of Wands come out as well, didn't we? So this wand energy is very important, especially the idea of, I hear creativity. I wanted to say taking action, but it feels like a creativity. Like the power's in my hand, the magic's in my hand. I'm very intrigued by the fact that this Queen of Wands has a cat with her, and like how a cat, a lot of people say like cats are very spiritual animals, you know, they are very in tune, or they're very connected to both realms, almost like a cat would be like a high priestess embodiment in our realm. And it's like this cat almost knows, or maybe even in general animals know more than we know. It's almost like we get distracted by things when animals or other creatures in our realm see more than we do. They see beyond, again, that idea of like seeing beyond the limitations of our world. The significance here of the twos, Two of Pentacles, Two of Cups, both being in reverse. I don't know what that significance is at this time, but it feels important. Again, that word of duality coming up here. A feeling of being able to see beyond our limitations, which I've already said. But it feels like we can be anything we want to be. It's not about escaping our reality or moving into some kind of mythical place or replacement of our current reality, but choosing to express ourselves in our most authentic way. And it's not about holding on to the things that this reality or material world says is important, because you can lose things in the process of becoming. Again, interesting here with the kind of like material depiction of her bag, and then like this kind of holographic or more spiritual depiction. So again, there are two realms, two worlds. I don't know if it's actually two in terms of what I'm saying, but just two just keeps coming up here, so it could just be two. The material and the spiritual, the mythical and the real. I don't know. The Knight of Swords is giving me like the power of the tongue, like what we say we become. And again, it's not like we are escaping or running away from where we are in the present moment, but we are creating a new reality for ourselves within the present moment. I don't even know if that made sense. I'm really just channeling here, which is why my dictation is very staggered when I'm channeling. Yeah, the impossible becomes real when we're timeline shifting. Things we thought weren't possible. It's interesting, we go from the Page to the Queen. Her wand is a lot smaller. It's not actually in her hand. It's kind of like loose. And then it's like the Queen of Wands. She has a very strong grip on the wand. She's got, again, the idea of the power is in my hands, and you have mastered something. You have got a grip on something. Wands is very creative energy as well. And even with the Two of Cups here, with all this kind of rainbow coming from these two hands, it also for me feels very creative. I'm getting like the image of like vision boarding, and how vision boarding is a very creative process, like taking pictures and words and like putting it together in a very aesthetic way. Like creating your reality is inherently beautiful, but like in a way that is creative and artsy and freeing. It's not super serious and like, I don't know, restrictive. Again, it's about taking what you thought was impossible and making it possible. Believing it could be possible for you. Again, the idea of like this cat can see beyond the limitations. So once you also accept that you might see limitations, but also accepting at the same time that as a person living in a human experience, I might see limitations in my reality, but also that they don't exist. I guess it's like the Matrix, you know, when he takes the pill, he can see beyond the limitations of his reality. But because he's existed before the pill, or before taking the pill, he also knows that they're there, and that other people might also only be able to identify with those limitations, or only be able to see those limitations. Tell me more about what timeline shifting is. By clarifying this spread, please. Let's start with the Queen of Wands. Okay, well that's way too many cards. So let's just reshuffle that. We just want one card for each, please. Can you clarify that, please? And what is timeline shifting? Okay, Four of Pentacles coming out. Clarify the Page of Wands. Tell me more about this Page of Wands energy. Gosh. Whenever it takes a long time for me to pull cards, like I shuffle a lot, it also means to me that the message is very specific. And it feels like there's an element of like importance and elements of, trying to find the right word, almost like a delicacy. Like it's not a very flippant thing like, oh yeah, you can shift timelines. Like, I don't know, I think sometimes maybe it's not marketed that way, but portrayed that way. But it feels more like there's more rules than we might think. And I don't think it's rules in the sense of like, I don't know, I guess we'll explore that a bit and just figure out what that feeling is. But there's like a feeling of specificity. That's even the right word. Tell me what the Knight of Swords energy for. What was the question now? What it is. I don't know, it's Knight of Swords energy. Four of Wands. Six of Swords reversed, and tell me about the Two of Pentacles reversed. Four of Cups. Okay, so we've got 444 here. Again, mirrored kind of numbers. So angel numbers could really be play an important role here. There's a lot of signaling to manifestation techniques or synchronistic things that we experience in our material world. Like, for example, a lot of people will say, when I see 444, I know that my manifestation is coming to me. Or when I see this, when I see twos, something, you know, like it is kind of giving me the feeling that those things are real, and those things also point to your timeline changing or things in your reality changing. I also feel like family here is coming up. Family, or just maybe like community in general, playing a role here. And sometimes it feels like you have to, with the Nine of Pentacles here, go out on your own. Do it on your own. It doesn't really feel as if this is something that can be done with other people. I might be saying that, interpreting that wrong, but even the Six of Swords, which for me sometimes is about getting help to move on from a difficult period of time in your life. And with it being in reversed here, again with the Two of Cups clarifying that energy with about connection, it's like this is something that requires you, singular people here, to take action. It's not something you can rely on other people for, or that you can be like, oh, this person can do it for me. Even the Four of Cups with the hand holding out this other cup here, it's almost like a disinterest in the help. So I don't know what that is. Let's get what's it called? Let us, I need a drink. Let us build on that. Even Nine of Wands at the bottom of the deck, which for me is kind of like that wounded warrior energy, kind of like one-man army. That's the word I was looking for. What is this sense feeling that I'm getting in terms of what it is, and why is it such a individual process? Okay, interesting. We do have the Three of Pentacles here, which is about community, and then the Four of Swords. Okay. Okay. So the healing, because Four of Swords is about that rest, rejuvenation, and healing, is something that occurs on your own, something you have to do for yourself. But the process can include other people. But again, it's like they're all helping out, but they're all doing their own thing to help out. So basically, I guess it's the kind of like saying you have a role in the process of shifting your timeline. And yes, other people can play a role in it, but so long as you're doing your part, things will come together. I think that's what it is. So long as you're doing your part, things will come together. So I guess there's a saying of like, don't worry about like, oh, this person isn't cooperating. Again, it's giving me that feeling of like, when you're trying to heal generational wounds, or you're trying to heal from things, and like your family members aren't participating in the healing, you know, like they don't want to go to therapy, or they don't want to listen to the boundaries that you're setting. They don't want to hear you out about how they've hurt you, or just those kind of examples of things. It's like, that doesn't matter, basically. It doesn't matter that they're not cooperating, because it's about you at the end of the day. And so long as you are the one that is going through this journey and really doing the things necessary to get where you want to go, then you will still get there. Okay, let's see if there's anything else here before we go into how we can do this. This Four of Pentacles reverse is intriguing me. Tell me more about this energy. Tell me what it is. Again, very specific messages coming through here. So many cards. Let's just, sorry if you can't really see them. Just trying to, okay. We've got King of Cups, Seven of Swords reverse, Judgment reverse, Seven of Pentacles. Four of Pentacles reversed. Okay, so again, I feel like it requires us to come out of our comfort zone, to tap into our emotions and what we truly desire, and nurture and put in the work to grow the things that we want for ourselves, to build the future or the reality that we wish for. With the starfish represented in this King of Cups card, I see rejuvenation also being a part of this process. Is that word I'm looking for? Rejuvenation? I don't think so. I feel like I meant to say I'm sure there's a different word I'm looking for. Regeneration, that's it, not rejuvenation. Regeneration. So again, it alludes to the idea of like wounds and healing those wounds, healing limiting thoughts. Just because one thing goes wrong doesn't mean everything will go wrong, or things won't still work out for you. There is always a second chance. It's so interesting. I started off this series talking about the present moment, and I feel like everything comes back to that video. So I would really advise, if you haven't seen that video yet, which is the first Tarot Talks video I ever did, I would definitely watch it, because I feel like everything just comes back to that. Everything I said in that video. Yeah, releasing judgment for yourself and letting go of, again, that idea of limitations, the idea of judgments in our reality. Like, humans love to judge each other so much. You shouldn't do that. I wouldn't recommend you do that. That's not going to work for you. All those kind of negative core beliefs that we get conditioned into having. Releasing those things, releasing the opinions of others, standing in... Sorry, I didn't realize the recording stopped there. Hopefully you heard me. We're going back into how we timeline shift. How do we shift timelines then? If it's possible, Knight of Swords again. How do we do it? Just one more. How do I do it? Right, I'll just do this as well. If it's possible to shift timelines, how do we do it? Okay, I feel like an important step is facing ourselves, facing our shadow, facing who we are, especially the parts of ourselves that we wish we would probably be embarrassed to talk about, or that we wouldn't really want other people to know about us, like our anger or our frustrations, or when we lash out at people, or the way we feel embarrassed when we do something, or, you know, like those kind of more shadow emotions or feelings or actions or whatever. Really looking at it and addressing it, and not pushing it under the carpet, but like bringing awareness to it and accepting that that's also a part of us, accepting that duality of things, that we're both light and dark, and integrating both. I guess like the idea of like integrating the ego and the higher self. Here also willing it to happen, believing it can happen. Fighting for what you want, putting or dedicating time to building what you want, nurturing it, following any guidance, any signs or symbols that you see, using them to help guide you and to like reassure you on your journey as well. Learning more as well, whether that's like learning more about a craft, learning more in terms of like spiritual knowledge as well. Even if you're religious or something, like deepening your faith, or even if you're not really, deepening your faith. Yeah, looking at the parts of ourselves that we hide away is really an important part of it here. And I think that comes down to the fact that in order to shift realities, we really have to step into our authentic self. And it's really hard to do that when we are so scared of the opinions of others, and when we can't accept ourselves. I really want to read this world card. That's the sign of completion. A wreath even, of laurel leaves looped around golden rings forms a celestial portal between the worlds. Oh, that is literally what we described. Through this opening, a divine dancer emerges, veiled in the purple of wisdom. Purple is coming up quite a lot. Her attitude is ecstatic and free from all constrictions. So our limiting beliefs, our conditioning, things like that, our ego. 2 candles burn beside her, echoing the blue and fire reds tended by the high priestess, which we started off this reading with. Surrounding the wreath are images representing the 4 elements, the 4 archangels, and the 4 fixed signs of the zodiac. Aquarius, represented by an angel, Scorpio, represented by an eagle, the lion, or Leo, represented by the lion even, and Taurus, represented by the bull. The key concept for the world card is completion. It is the last card in the major arcana. The 4 divine beings are brought together to witness that a cycle has reached its conclusion. The dancer evokes the joy of the yogini, I think that's how you say that, from the death card. And her pose evokes the spiritual surrender of the hangman. Life has triumphed. The soul is renewed. Take a victory lap and get ready to start the next cycle. So I think it's interesting in terms of like the major arcana being a journey from the Fool to the World card, and going through each thing, like even the Tower moment, the things of everything kind of crashing down, all the foundations you thought were solid crumbling, and having to regain that hope with the Star card here, regain the trust in things unseen, put your belief back into it and restart again. So we have Tower, then we go to the Sun card, that happiness. Then we go to Judgment, Judgment, where we have the Call, spiritual awakening, atoning for your sins, the acceptance of human failings. There's an opportunity to wash your spirit clean, to begin again. This is so interesting. So it says the man holds a skull to show that he understands the transitionary nature of the flesh, which I actually spoke about when I spoke about how our human experience, time in our human experience is linear from birth to death. So that's the man here. The woman holds the golden egg of Isis, which contains the universe, acknowledging her own primal creative power, that feeling of creativity and power coming through our creativity, and its attachment to it is that creativity that actually connects us to the universe. And then the child's hands are empty, for he has nothing to prove because he is innocent. And yeah, so how we start off is with that innocence, you know, that kind of maybe similar to the cat that we saw in the Queen of Wands card, the acknowledgement of two realms that we can travel between, and that we can create things anew whenever we wish to. But as we continue, we get conditioned, our limiting beliefs come in, our subconscious comes and overrides decisions that would have been made previously, maybe when we were younger. You know how we look back on when we're younger and we're like, oh, I used to be so confident back then. I really just didn't care. But all these things come in and we just kind of... So I guess it's what it is, or how you timeline jump, is by going through the process of removing those beliefs, removing those layers, or even if it's not like I can remove all of them and completely heal all of them, because that journey is just a part of our life, like from birth to death, you know. It's an acceptance that they're there, an acknowledgement even that they're there. Can we just clarify the Ace of Wands here for how we shift timelines? Clarify the Ace of Wands. This Temperance card. From the sun to the moon, from yin to yang, balance, with this action energy here. So I would really say a prime or a key part of learning to shift timelines, or shifting your timeline, is an integration of the masculine and feminine, or the yin and the yang, if you want to call it that, of the ability to know when to take action and when to slow down and be in a receptive mode, when to ask for help and when to be in your kind of independence and do things for yourself, to know the role that you're playing at each moment in your life, which isn't easy, definitely isn't easy. Something that is very learned and that comes with trial and error as well, but it's possible to get there. And through that kind of dance, even, it's like a dance, isn't it, between the two? Like, oh, am I meant to be over this side? Am I meant to be taking action right now? Oh, no, okay. Am I meant to be resting right now? Am I meant to be healing, rejuvenating, hermit mode? Am I meant to be learning right now, integrating right now? What am I doing? Am I implementing? Am I building? Like the dance between the two. And coming into a rhythm of it. Again, dance is very creative as well. Coming to a rhythm and a flow is what comes together to build or create and shift into the reality that we want for ourselves, or shift onto the timeline that we want for ourselves. So I feel like that is really everything and encompassed everything, hopefully. Let me know what you thought down below. Did you think that was what timeline shifting was? Is there something that you learned here, or some kind of insight that you gained? So much for watching, guys. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I will see you all in my next one. Bye.